Now let me tell you the flow of the story, starting with the part 1. So Katniss Everdeen, who tells her story in the first person, wakes up. It is the day of the reaping. She sees her little sister Prim, or short for Primrose, asleep in bed with their mother across the room. Katniss puts on her clothes to go hunting. The area where she and her family lived is called the Seam, and it's part of District 12. They are at the edge of the district, which is enclosed by a high fence, and Katniss often crawls under the fence and enters the wood outside. So against all odds, Prim's name was selected at the reaping. So as Prim walks up to the stage, Katniss, in a panic, rushes forward and shouts that she is volunteering as tribute. A volunteer is allowed to take the place of the person whose name is drawn. But this never happens in District 12. Katniss and Prim embrace, and Gale has to pull Prim away from Katniss. Katniss is escorted into the Justice Building and left in a room. Her mother and sister are brought in to say their goodbyes, and Katniss makes her mother promise not to fall apart again. She tells them she loves them as they're led out. Peter Millark's father, the baker, comes in. Katniss often trades him squirrels for bread. He gives Katniss cookies and promises to make sure Prim is being fed. Next, Madge enters. She gives Katniss a pin with a gold bird in the center and asks Katniss to wear it into the arena. Lastly, Gale enters. He tells Katniss to find a bow if she can, and he says he won't let Katniss' family starve. So Katniss is driven to a train station where she meets Peeta, and they board a train and begin their journey to the capital. So in the capital, a team of people wax Katniss' body hair to prepare her for her stylist, which is Cinna. So Cinna is quiet and modest. It's his first year working as a stylist for the Hunger Games, and to Katniss' surprise, he requested the tributes of the impoverished District 12. It is typical for the tributes to dress in a style that reflects their district, and Cinna says since District 12 industry is coal mining, Katniss and Peeta's costumes will reflect coal's main function, which is to burn. So, her costume will be lit with a synthetic flame, and Cinna calls her the girl who was on fire. So, it is the first day of training. So, Haymitch asks Katniss and Peeta if they want to train together or separately. In case one has a secret skill, she or he might not want the other to know about it. So Peeta already knows Katniss is an excellent hunter, and Katniss feels surprised at the thought that Peeta must sometimes think of her. So ultimately, they decide to train together. So Haymitch wants to know about their strengths. Katniss is obviously with a bow, and Peeta is a strong and an excellent wrestler. So Katniss and Peeta go to a station where they learn various knots. Next, they move to the camouflage station, and Peeta picks it up quickly because he decorates the cake in his father's bakery. So over the next 3 days, they visit more stations while the game makers, 20 or so men and women, watch from the stands and take notes. So she takes a few difficult shots to impress the game makers, but notices that most of them are focused on a roasted pig that's just arrived at their table. So she becomes furious knowing her life is at stake in the games, and fires an arrow straight toward the game makers that skewers the apple in the pig's mouth. Then she walks out. So the next morning, Katniss meets with Cinna. He puts her in a dress covered in jewels that, in the light, give the impression of little flames. He asks if Katniss is ready for her interview, but she says she's awful. He tells her to be herself, since everyone already loves her spirit and generally comforts her. So the time for the interviews comes. Each tribute gets 3 minutes. Katniss' turn arrives and she goes up on the stage. The host is Cesar Flickerman, who does the interviews every year. So Katniss does very well, coming off as very charming and even girly. So the crowd loves her. When she's done, she watches Pita go on next. Cesar asks if he has a girlfriend, and Pita says no, but there is a girl he's had a crush on as long as he can remember. So Cesar says she can turn him down if he wins, but Pita says winning won't help him. So the girl he's thinking of came to the games with him.